What's up, everybody? I just wanted to come and wanted to touch on something today that that young sister asked me in the laundromat. All right, and I thought it was a good thing because it showed that a lot of people were starting to actually wake up and start to understand what's really going on here, and if not fully wake up, at the very least starting to question it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the mustard seed that you need in order to get that motherfucking mustard plant growing. You know what I mean? So her question was about my pentagram. She asked me, she said, what does that star mean? Because I come here a lot, and she's seen me with this star and different kinds of stars, different colors, with different gems, different, what I'm saying, different crystals on it and whatnot. I got a green one that's got malachite on there. And so I told her, I said, everybody's familiar with the one that's the other way around, that's upside down. I told her, I said, that's a dog star, right? That's the worship of everything physical, instant gratification, greed. You know what I'm saying? Filth, reveling in the physical tomb, as it were, right? And all the senses wherein that you can experience only by the body, right? And I explained to her that this is esoterically, what they were talking about in their Bible when they tried to copy it from us, even though they didn't understand it. That this is what the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Ethiopians and the ancient Israelites were talking about when they said the North Star, right? Because this is the star of mind, of highest mind. See what I'm talking about? And the 6-point star went on to explain, because she said her and her husband have stepped away from Christianity and they're starting to actually adhere to a lot of, and study a lot of the Hebrew Israelite stuff. And I'm like, that's a good way to go, because they too they're telling the truth. I was like, a lot of people attacking them, saying that they're being anti-Semitic or whatnot. No, they're not. You know what I mean? I explained to her that that star is also symbolic of essentially the same thing. It's the different elements combining, what I'm saying, the different divinities combining to make the divine man, right? That's why that's the star of man. You see what I'm saying? That's why David he's the son. That represents the son of God. You see what I'm saying? That's brown people, right? The first, the originals. You know what I mean? And I'm explaining this to her, and she was like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, you just keep on your journey, and actually go and deeper into that, and actually try to understand where, where we were taken away from our spiritual understanding, what I'm saying, and cut off. And I went on to explain to her like how I've kind of basically always been this way, even as a child, because I really didn't know any other way. That just speaks to the way my mother, actually, my earth mother, my physical mother, right? When I was born, she never held me back from learning, reading, experiencing everything that I possibly could. Everything that she understood that I understood, she let me go forth with. You know what I'm saying? She gave me the permission and the strength to go ahead and do that. And I was explaining to her like that kept me from really ever being indoctrinated with the Christian nonsense. I went to church with my mom for a while because I had to, you know what I'm saying? Because she was bigger than me and she told me what to do. She feed me and so I had to go. So when I was explaining to her that once I was 11, I had to finally tell her like, Ma, none of this is correct. This is all wrong, and they ignored me, right? And I would go on for the next 2 years, 3 years, keep saying this, keep saying things like this, and I'd be trying to break the Bible down for him because I've read it already at this point. By the time I was 12, I read the Christian Bible 3 or 4 times over, and I'm trying to explain it like, this is all wrong. People are reading this wrong. This does not mean what people think of me. I kept trying to tell her that, and then I went to my granddad, and he was the pastor of the church, and nobody there had any answers. And I'm like, okay, like you guys are not going to listen to me, so I'm just going to withdraw myself, right? So by the time I was 14, 13, 14, I stepped away completely from going to church. I actually had to stand up to my mom and tell her, like, yo, I can't do this anymore. This is not helping anyone. This is hurting people. And they still didn't understand what I meant. And my body will be 39 in May. And people are just now starting to come around, which, cool, better late than never. But at the same time, I'm trying to explain to this lady, like this is what people like me are like. And she's talking to me about her nephew, I think, or maybe it's one of her sons, that she says he was just like that. He doesn't really watch cartoons. He likes to read books, and he just can't stop reading stuff. He's really imaginative, really smart. And I'm like, yeah, nurture that. Good imagination, good logical insight. You gotta nurture that, because that's the kind of people that our children were pre all of this Roman Christian nonsense, right? All of our children were brain surgeons. All of our children were, they were damn near clerics. You know what I mean? That was covered in the first 10 years of life. So by the time you were 30, you were approaching the Christhood. You already had the physical knowledge was understood by the time you were 10. By the time you were 30, you had the spiritual and the mind aspects down, right? So by the time you're 40, all of this comes to a head. This is 8 times 5, right? This is the infinite pentagram, right? So you have all of the things where you have now become the Christ in flesh. You are God in the flesh at this point. But in order for us to be that, we had to follow the steps that were laid out. But what happened was, a jealous monster came along and wiped those steps out of the sand, and everybody got lost. You know what I mean? And I'm explaining to her that, there's a few of us who just, for whatever reason, never lost sight of the footsteps. So we kept walking across the desert, kept walking through the darkness, kept walking through the tunnels, we kept walking under the water, we kept walking through the air, we kept walking through space. You know what I mean? And we remembered once we got here. And I'm explaining this to her, like, that's all people have to do is remember, all this knowledge, all of this knowledge and understanding of how to operate this physical realm is already a part of you, but you just have to remember it. It has been dismembered from you. You must remember it, right? Aset had to remember Osiris. You know what I mean? She had to remember him. Once she remembered him, reassembled his members, right? Specifically the golden one, right? That golden life principle, right? Once she remembered him, what happened? Hrw was born, the hero. He who will battle Set, the darkness, right? And Set got triumphed over. Hrw triumphs over dark, right? He triumphs over Set to become the superior Hrw. He's the superhero now, right? He's God-man, right? That's the whole point of all of this knowledge, you know what I mean, is to understand that and work within the bounds of nature and work within the bounds of the cosmos and the bounds of the divine self to develop that divine self further. But you can't do that when you got your mind trapped in a physical essence, as it were, that physical is A, different from you, and B, superior to you, right? Nothing outside of you could possibly be outside of you, actually, right? But if you are to think it's apart from you and thus give it power over you, you trap yourself. You are trapped. You are your experiences and your feelings, your emotions, your spirit, your awareness, right? Your focus. Those things are the you. That's the I, right? And you trap that in physical stuff when you focus that on physical stuff. Right? That's what a resonance is. That's what saying I like this is. You are likening yourself to a thing. When you are saying you love a thing or you are in love with a thing, you are saying you are that thing. That thing is you. And that back and forth is an infinite. It's a description. It's an esoteric description of the infinite wavelength, the infinite oscillation that is life. The up, down, back, forth. Right. That's what love actually is. Is that power to become that which the physical perceives it is not. You know what I mean? You become yourself. Take this half and put them together, and you become whole. That's what holistic. That's where all that comes from. I'm explaining this to her, and I'm trying to relate to her that, like, there are people like me who've just known that their whole lives, and you don't have a way to explain that to people that you don't realize don't understand it. Because how do you explain to a man who's never been out of water what wet is? You know. But I just said all that to say that I'm really happy that a lot of people are actually starting to, they're stepping away from it, with the brainwashing and the trickery, as it were, and they're starting to come around. So I'll be back later today with another video I'm going to throw in here. I think I'm going to do something about the Trinity in and of itself, right? And how you utilize the Trinity aspect, you apply it to your life in order to manifest your own life, to, take hold of the God in you and, escape the trap. Thanks for watching.